I'm 71 years old.
And I died last Thursday. 2 minutes, that's what the doctors told me. 2 minutes of nothing. No heartbeat, no oxygen reaching my brain. 2 minutes where, medically speaking, I was gone from this world. And everybody keeps asking me the same question. They lean in close with those wide, hungry eyes, and they whisper it like they're asking about a secret. Did you see the light? Was there a tunnel? Did your life flash before your eyes? Forget the light. I need to tell you something, and I need you to hear me. Not later, not when it's convenient, right now. Because what I saw in those 2 minutes didn't save me, it broke me. And the proof is sitting right here on this hospital tray, 3 in the morning, glowing in the dark like a little rectangular ghost. A cracked smartphone, screen shattered from when I hit the floor. But it still works. Oh, it still works just fine. 312 unread notifications, messages I never opened, missed calls I never returned, photos my family sent that I never even looked at. 312 little digital tombstones, each one marking a moment where somebody I loved reached out to me, and I chose to look the other way. My hands are shaking right now, and it's not from the IV. It's not from the machines beeping next to my bed, or the smell of antiseptic burning the inside of my nose, or the stale coffee sitting cold on the windowsill that some nurse left here hours ago. My hands are shaking because the worst part of dying was realizing I was already gone, long before my heart stopped, long before I hit that boardroom floor. I had already disappeared, and I did it to myself. Let me tell you how a man disappears. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not dramatic. There's no explosion, no single catastrophic moment where you can point and say, that's where I lost everything. No, it's quiet. It's gradual. It's 1,000 tiny choices that feel responsible at the time and only look like betrayal in hindsight. I was regional sales director by 34, corner office by 40. I had the title, the salary, the company car, the quarterly bonuses that hit the account like little dopamine injections. I told myself a story, and I believed it with every cell in my body. The story went like this: they need me to provide. That's my job. That's what a man does. I'll be present later. I'll earn that luxury when the work is done. But here's the thing about that lie. The work is never done. There is always another quarter, always another target, always one more conference call that absolutely cannot wait. I remember the exact moment I muted my family group chat. I was on a call with regional managers. My phone kept buzzing. My daughter was sending photos from her piano recital. Buzz, buzz, buzz. I didn't silence it gently. I didn't think, I'll look at these tonight. I jabbed my thumb on that mute button like the messages were an interruption, like my daughter playing piano for the first time in front of a crowd was less important than a conversation about third-quarter revenue projections in the Midwest territory. And I never unmuted it. That's the part that gets me. I never unmuted it. Not that week, not that month. Months turned into a year. The chat kept going without me. My family kept living without me. And I didn't even notice because I was so buried in spreadsheets and sales forecasts that I couldn't hear the silence growing in my own house. My wife stopped asking me to come to dinner. I didn't realize it at first. I just noticed one day that the arguments had ended. And I was fool enough to think that meant things were better, peaceful. No, it meant she had given up. She started photographing my empty chair at the dinner table. I only found that out 3 days ago, scrolling through the messages I'd ignored. Dozens of photos. My empty chair at Thanksgiving. My empty chair on Sunday breakfast. My empty chair at my son's 11th birthday. She sent them to her sister with a single line. His seat's still warm from yesterday. Just kidding. He hasn't sat in it in 3 weeks. She turned my absence into a joke because the alternative was crying about it every single night. I believed that busyness meant importance, that providing money was the same as providing love, that my family would understand, would wait, would be there when I finally looked up from the screen. I was irreplaceable at the office. I was sure of it. Indispensable. The guy who kept the machine running. I was replaceable at home. And the worst part is they didn't replace me with another person. They replaced me with the absence of me. They built a life around the hole I left, and they filled it with routines that didn't include me anymore. Now let me tell you about the day I died. It was a Tuesday, a nothing day, the most ordinary day you can imagine. I was standing in a boardroom on the 6th floor, fluorescent lights humming that low electric hum that you don't hear until everything else goes quiet. The room smelled of stale bagels from the breakfast tray nobody had cleared, and burnt coffee from the pot in the corner that had been sitting on the warmer since 7 a.m. I was mid-sentence, literally mid-sentence, talking about customer acquisition costs in the southeast region. I remember the word I was saying when it happened. I was saying projected, and I got to and then there was nothing. My legs went first, then my vision collapsed like someone was turning down the brightness on a screen. Then the floor. I remember the floor being cold against my cheek. I remember it smelling like carpet cleaner, that chemical lemon scent. And then everything stopped. Now, people want the white light. They want the tunnel, the dead relatives waving from the other side, the booming voice of God telling you it's not your time. I'm sorry to disappoint you. That's not what I got. What I got was silence. Not peaceful silence, not the silence of rest, a suffocating silence, the kind that presses against your ears from the inside, the kind that has weight. And in that silence, I started seeing things. Not my life flashing before my eyes, not a highlight reel of my greatest moments. No, I saw the moments I wasn't there for, the specific ones, as if someone had gathered every scene I'd missed and laid them out like photographs on a table for me to look at one by one. I saw my daughter blowing out candles on a birthday cake, 13 candles. She looked up before she blew them out, and her eyes scanned the room. She was looking for me, and I watched her face do something that no father should ever see. I watched her stop looking, watched her rearrange her expression from hopeful to fine in half a second, like she'd practiced it, like it was done automatic. Then she blew out the candles, and everyone clapped, and the chair at the head of the table sat empty, and nobody mentioned it. I saw my wife standing in the hallway outside my son's bedroom. It was late. The house was dark. She was rehearsing something under her breath, whispering it to herself, and I realized she was preparing how to tell the kids if I didn't come home, not if I died, if I left. She was preparing them for an absence she considered inevitable, and she wanted to find the right words. She'd been doing this for months, rehearsing the speech, getting ready. I saw my son in the driveway. He was maybe 9. He had a bike, that red one we bought him for Christmas, and he was watching a YouTube video on a phone propped up against the garage door, pausing it, trying the balance, falling, checking the video again, teaching himself to ride a bicycle from a stranger on the internet because his father was in a meeting. I remember that meeting. I don't remember what it was about. I will remember that driveway for the rest of my life. And here's the thing that shattered me. In none of these visions was anyone panicking. Nobody was falling apart. Nobody was screaming my name or crying in a heap on the floor, begging me to come home. They were fine. They were coping. They had adapted. My family had developed a practiced, exhausted resilience, the kind you build around a chronic wound. I wasn't a sudden loss. I was a slow leak, and they had already patched the hole. I didn't vanish when my heart stopped beating in that boardroom. I vanished years ago. The cardiac arrest was just my body catching up to a death I'd already chosen. When they brought me back, when the defibrillator kicked and my chest lurched and air poured into my lungs like fire, I didn't gasp with gratitude. I gasped with disgust. Pure, white-hot shame that sat on my ribs heavier than the paramedics' hands. I came back to life, and all I felt was disgust for the life I'd built. That was 3 days ago. My wife came once. She brought a bag with clean clothes, a toothbrush, my charger. She sat on the edge of the bed and held my hand for about 4 minutes. She asked if I needed anything. She spoke softly, kindly, gently, and that gentleness nearly killed me worse than the cardiac arrest, because I recognized the tone. It was the tone you use with a colleague in the hospital, warm but boundaried, compassionate but careful. She wasn't visiting her husband. She was visiting someone she used to know. My kids sent texts, both of them. Nice texts. "Glad you're okay, Dad. Get some rest." They didn't come. I'm not angry at them for that. I'm not angry at any of them. How can I be? I trained them for this. I taught them through years of consistent absence that I was a man who existed primarily through